12 of the fantasy basketball season. Here's a few forwards I would look to sell high or trade off this week. The first guy is Kuzma of the Los Angeles Lakers. So Kuzma, he's been playing real good since Anthony Davis went down. And reports came out the other day that Anthony Davis, he's probably out at least another 3 weeks to a month here. So on the season, he's ranked 199 is Kuzma. 12.1 points a game, 6.7 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 1.9 threes a game, 63% from the foul line and 45% from the field. But the last few weeks, he's ranked 58th in fantasy basketball with 20.5 points a game, 8.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, a steal a game, 3 threes a game, and 52% from the field. So Kuzma, he's scoring the basketball. Down the stretch in a few games, we've seen him score some clutch buckets and make some big plays for this Laker team. And he's living up to the expectations that they had on him a few seasons ago where they drafted him as Kuzma. So Kuzma, he got the good contract in the offseason from the Lakers, 3 years, $40 million. And right now he's playing well, but I just don't see this continuing at this high of a pace. The last few games he's really playing out of this world is Kuzma. March 12th versus the Pacers, 24 points, 13 rebounds, 3 3-pointers, assist and a steal. March 15th at the Warriors, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 3 threes. And March 16th versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, 16 points, 3 rebounds, an assist, and 2 threes. So Kuzma, he's scoring the basketball. He's hitting the 3-pointers at a good rate. And he's getting rebounds and a few steals a game. But right now, I just don't think he's going to sustain it. Especially the last 2 games where he shot 63% and 58% from the field, where he's had some weak matchups. And this Laker team, they're going to win a lot of games, no doubt about it. They're not going to rush Anthony Davis back, but I think I could get a decent piece for Kuzma at this time before his value drops down. The next forward I look to trade off or sell high this week's Covington of the Portland Trailblazers. So Covington, he was a player who struggled early in the season with his new ball club. On the season, he's ranked out 56th in fantasy basketball, 8.4 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1.2 blocks a game with 2 threes a game. So Covington, he gives a lot of categories to fantasy owners, no doubt about it. And over the last few weeks, he's ranked 29th in fantasy basketball with 12 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.8 steals, 1.8 blocks, 2.8 threes a game, 71% from the foul line and 46% from the field. But Jusuf Nurkic, he's on his way back soon, and he's going to take some production away from Covington, in my opinion here. And Covington, since the All-Star break was over, he's had great performances. March 11th versus Phoenix, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 3 threes. March 13th at Minnesota, 9 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 threes. March 14th at Minnesota again, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and 4 threes. And then versus the New Orleans Pelicans last night in a thriller victory, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 threes. So Covington, he's a well-rounded player. He's given owners a lot of categories, but his scoring production's still down. His rebounding ain't all that great for a powered forward center guy in fantasy basketball. And I think you could get a decent package for him, especially with his overrated high ranking at this time. So Covington, if a decent deal's out there, I would definitely go out there and try to make it, because I just don't think the stats are going to be sustainable. I know he's a guy that could give you 7 or 8 categories, but I don't think he's strong enough at one thing to be this high in the rankings, and a guy that you shouldn't sell high with this ranking to get something better. The next forward's his teammate Carmelo Anthony of the Portland Trailblazers. So Melo, he's been on a great pace of scoring the basketball the last few weeks here. And Melo, he had passed Hakeem Olajuwon for 11th all-time on the scoring list a couple of nights ago on the season. He's ranked 113th in fantasy basketball, 14.1 points a game, 3.4 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.8 threes, 86% from the foul line, and 41% from the field for Melo. In the last couple weeks, he's ranked 70th in fantasy basketball with 17 points a game, 3.2 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.7 threes, 90% from the foul line, and 48% from the field. So Melo, he's shooting at an efficient rate. We've seen a few ball games where he's gone over 16 points or more, and he's just producing. His last 3 games, March 13th in Minnesota, 26 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 2 threes. March 14th in Minnesota again, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, a block. And then March 16th last night in a good ball game, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block and a 3. So the thing with Carmelo Anthony, CJ McCollum, he's back in the lineup now. He's going to get a lot of scoring load, obviously, even though McCollum, they're easing him back in. He only played 26 minutes in last night's ball game, but he's still going to produce. He's going to score at a high rate once he's 100% is McCollum. And also Gary Trent, he's still playing major minutes for this Portland team. So Melo now, there's going to be less opportunities with the ball in his hands. The scoring numbers, they're going to go down just a bit in my opinion. And right now, while his value's at a season high for him right now, if I could package him with someone else, this is the time to do it before he's pretty much a player that's going to be on the waiver wire in most fantasy leagues. Next player is Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat. So Jimmy Buckets, he's been on a tear since he came back from some injuries and protocol issues over the last few weeks on the season. He's ranked 33rd in fantasy basketball with 21 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 7.8 assists, 2.2 steals, 85% from the foul line, 47% from the field. But the last few weeks, he's the number 2 ranked player in all of fantasy basketball, 28.2 points a game, 6.6 rebounds, 8.2 assists, a whopping 3.4, 82% from the foul line, and a whopping 60% from the field. So Jimmy Buckets, we know he was a second or third rounder in most fantasy drafts this season, but right now he's playing at an all-time high with that number 2 ranking in this time. And right now, while his value's at an all-time high, he's a player I would sell high because Butler, I still could see him missing games. I could see him being rested down the stretch while Miami clinches a playoff berth and stuff. Because this team, they were on a tear. They were down in the dungeons early in the season, but now they've won 5 in a row, and they're the hottest team in the NBA. And right now, I think you could get a boatload for Jimmy Butler with some of the performances he's put up. March 12th at Chicago, 28 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 steals. March 14th at Orlando, 29 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and a whopping 5 steals. And then last night versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, 28 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. So Butler, he's doing everything. He's stealing the basketball at an extremely highly rate. And right now, while his value's skyrocketing, and he's one of the best players in fantasy the last few weeks, this is the time to sell him high in the 5th and final forward. I would look to sell off high or trade away this week's Norman Powell with the Toronto Raptors. Powell, he's been on a tear, no doubt about it. But right now, with reinforcements coming here for this Toronto team, and Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby coming back this week, these big numbers and huge ball games are going to drop off for Powell on the season. He's ranked 61st in fantasy basketball, 19 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.2 steals. But over the last few weeks, he's ranked 29th at a whopping 27.8 points a game, 3.4 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 1.4 steals, 4.2 threes a game. So Powell, he's putting on performances. He's been the main man over there the last few weeks with the injuries and the protocols, like I said, to VanVleet, Siakam, and Anunoby. But this time is up now for Powell as being an elite fantasy player. And if you sold him off the last few days, or you still can here, before these guys come back in tonight's ball game, most likely at the Detroit Pistons, this is the time to do it, because the last few games he's been balling out, though, no doubt about it. March 11th versus Atlanta, 33 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 6 threes. March 13th at Charlotte, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. And March 14th at the Chicago Bulls, 32 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block, and 3 threes. So it's been an incredible run for Powell. He's been a big scorer for this Toronto team. But with 2 of their best players coming back now, the numbers are going to go down, the playing times are going to go down, and the usage. And if I could sell them high right now, this is the time to do it. So that's a few forwards I would look to sell high here in week 12 of the fantasy basketball season.